growing number of COVID-19 patients suffering from kidney failure. Anywhere from 20 to 40% need emergency dialysis, and that is according to a report in the New York Times. Hospitals in several hotspots, including New York City, Boston, New Orleans, and Detroit, have patients in need of kidney treatment, however, reportedly lack the resources to provide that care. Also, graduation ceremonies for the U.S. Military Academy at West Point are now slated for June 13th instead of May 23rd. President Trump is delivering the commencement address. Earlier today, Vice President Pence addressed the graduates of the U.S. Air Force Academy. Social distancing was observed, but Pence did not wear a mask. I'm Ashley Strohmeyer. Now back to the Greg Gutfeld Show.
Are we losing our mind from this lonely grind? It's the topic of this week's Get It. Never get tired of that one. A new study finds that 44% of Americans are lonelier than ever before, thanks to the virus. Among people's top concerns, health, employment, and missing out on birthdays, graduation, and Lou Dobbs hot tub parties, which are legendary. Meanwhile, the Federal Disaster Distress Helpline, those calls are up 891% versus this time last year. And apparently, no one can remember what day it is. Searches for the phrase, what day it is, have spiked on Google. Strange. Without our social routine, says one doctor, the difference between Friday and Saturday has been temporarily erased. Makes sense. That's why it's a great time to focus on the little things, like how to stop my bird from being such a stupid jerk. That is the greatest bird I have ever seen. Tyrus, how you holding up? Are you feeling lonely? You got kids. Do you think this is the people that answered this?
I'm never alone, Greg.
Yes.
I'm never alone. I don't know what that's like.
Yes.
And I love it. I love being surrounded constantly. It's like this fish tank. We're just happy in this small enclosed area together. Pay no attention to the cannibalism. We're all just happy.
Well, that's
and I don't
good.
know who's called that number that many times, but I feel bad for the people that are stuck at home alone. They just don't. I feel for them.
I worry about the elderly, especially. I'm seriously people in homes. And Tom, you also have family at home, but people can't visit their grandparents. That's brutal.
It is trying for a lot of people, especially people who have people in elder care and they want to visit them, but they can't because it's a dangerous situation. So they're going through that. I think a lot of people are going to have a depression after this is all over. Because there are a lot of people, you see it on social media, and there's people at home, they're watching the news, they're keeping up with all the changes. So somehow this crisis is giving them meaning. But when this all goes away, and it will go away, it's going to be like the OJ trial. Like, my mother didn't know what to do when that trial was over.
Yeah.
She was just watching TV for that whole year. So when this thing does go away, and people will go back to normal, I think that there's a lot of people who don't want it to go back to normal because this thing gives them meaning. Do you know what I'm saying? That it is a crisis. That's what happens. People do come together in these things.
Well, it's an interesting point. People might not want it to go away if they don't work, if they're not financially insecure. But I can see that, Mike, that maybe this does give meaning to people, but it's a luxury if you gotta eat. Meaning doesn't put food on the table.
No, that's right. First of all, kudos to Tom for comparing the pandemic to the OJ trial.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that one before.
Yeah.
That's brand new. But you're absolutely right. Look, if you're on salary, if you're still getting your paycheck, if you like Tyrus or like myself, you're self-isolated with your family. And so you're not sitting there all by yourself, maybe with your cat or your dog for company. Then, and you don't have anybody affected by the virus, and just shut the hell up, right? And don't complain. We're not being asked to drop into a war zone and risk our lives. But if you've lost your paycheck, if you've got bills to make, if you've got loved ones in a facility like Tom said, you can't visit them, if you know somebody who's passed away or is sick from this virus, yeah, you've got every reason to be concerned and probably upset, depressed slightly. So I understand that 891% increase on those phone calls.
Right.
But again, we're going to get through this, right? We're going to get through it. And also, it goes back to that idea of opening up the government, right? We can do two things at one time. We can take care of the most vulnerable. We can also get back to work. We've been like a bunch of sheep in a pasture, right? In a way, I've been surprised at how we've gone along with this to some degree. But I understand all the concern. I just think now is the time to multitask. Take care of it, be alert, be careful, but also let's start getting things going forward again.
Kat, this thing about not knowing the day, I believe that no matter what happens, Saturday always feels like Saturday, and Sunday feels like Sunday. You can't go out on a Friday and pretend that it's Monday. Like, your brain is already hardwired for that thing. Like, I've tried to pretend that a day off is really a work day, and then I try to surprise myself because I'm a weirdo, and it never works.
No, it doesn't. I just wanted to wholeheartedly disagree with something that Mike said, though.
Okay.
He said that if everything's
Oh my
fine, you
God.
still have your job, you shouldn't complain. I hate that narrative, and I hate the memes that are all running around like, your grandparents were called to war, and you're being called to sit on the couch. And that is correct. Like, I get it. And I recognize that me having to stay home
So you
is
do agree
not
with me
as
then?
bad as having to fight in a war where I would certainly perish. I get that, but I don't think you should have to be like all this pressure to stay positive all the time, because although it could be worse, and it certainly could be much worse for me, sometimes
could
I'm
be
still
worse.
sad, and that's okay because society is collapsing, and you gotta let yourself feel sad, because if you don't,
It's not
then
collapsing.
you're sad
Society
and
is not
ashamed of
collapsing.
being sad. So gratitude's good, positivity's good, but the pressure is not.
This is a fight between generations.
Sure is.
Yeah.
And everyone's
Damn.
gonna be
I
on
represent
his
the younger
side.
generation.
Yes.
And by the way, every day is like Sunday.
Especially in your little prison where you're waterboarding God knows who back there. All right, time for a break. I don't know what's going on in there. Take your temperature, but the mouth this time.